My name is Dr. Michael Brown, and this is 3 Words, a bite-sized podcast about the simple and yet very significant choices that all of us can make in order to feel fully alive. Today in the 3 Words podcast studio for the very first time is Mike Williams, a saxophonist who's become a good friend of mine over the past 10 years, and he is going to push us out of our comfort zones with these 3 words: break the rules. His story is fascinating. How he transitioned from the corporate world into the music industry, how he took risks, how he took steps of faith, how his belief in God and his belief and trust in himself allowed him to do what very few others would be willing to do. You're going to love his story. You're going to love the practical advice. Listen in now. Well, Mike, it is great to have you here in the 3 Words podcast studio for the very first time. Mike Williams.
Very first time.
You know, it's interesting. Since this is your first time, I'm sure there are those who are listening in or viewing our 3 Words podcast. Would you be willing to share a little bit about yourself?
I sure would. So first of all, my name is Mike Williams. I go by the name Mike Williams on sax. So I'm sure you can figure from there. I'm a saxophonist. I love music and everything it touches. Originally right here in Ohio, and I just love music. I love having a great time, and that's what it's all about. It's all about having a good time, having fun, and most importantly, these 3 words,
which are
I can say them.
Let's go.
Break the rules.
Break the rules.
Break
it's
the
interesting,
rules.
my friend. You know, you reminded me as you came to the studio today, I was like, I feel like I've known Mike Williams for a while, but you brought me exactly to the point where we met. It was on campus in 2013. Almost 10 years ago. You're all grown up. You're all
it's been
grown
10
up.
years.
It has been a long time.
Wow.
And obviously you've taken quite a journey through your life in the last 10 years, obviously coming to the university and then kind of doing some unique things, which is why I think you chose these 3 words, break the rules. You know, before we kind of jump into your story and our conversation tonight about this idea of breaking the rules, this is what I was thinking about this morning as I was kind of conceptualizing and prepping for our time together. I'm guessing for those who are listening, who are viewing even now our 3 Words podcast episode, for some of them, they're thinking, are they suggesting that we disobey the rules? Are they suggesting that we break the law? Are they suggesting that we, go against culture? Like, what is the whole point of this? But I think you and I are on the same page in what this is going to look like. But I'm guessing people are afraid of that. And people are kind of wondering, what does it look like to really break the rules? So why don't you kind of set the stage and let us know why these 3 words are so very important to you?
Absolutely. So first of all, as a disclaimer, just piggying back off of what you just mentioned, Mike Williams did not tell you don't show up to work. He didn't tell you, show up late. That's what the rules say. So I'm going to show up late. It is exactly what you said. Doing things that are morally correct, doing the right thing, but, having some fun within reason. Within reason. I think it's very important to remember that. So for me, breaking the rules is so fun and it's so exciting because it challenges us. It allows us to find out more information about ourselves, but also about those around us as well. And just seeing how they react to, what changes we implement or what different things we want to try or things that we want to do. And those words just resonate with me. I think it's always been the nucleus of kind of my success, I guess we'll say, even though the success is still being created, still the early stages. But, all of those, elements have really gone into, for me, music or professional life or career or personal health and fitness or whatever it is that you do. It's all about, breaking those rules, getting to that end goal safely, of course, getting to the end goal safely. But again, having fun, having a good time, and doing something that's different.
Now, what you've not said, and I know you're implying it in our conversation, is to break the rules, you have to be willing to take risks.
Absolutely.
You have to be willing to try new things without necessarily knowing a guarantee of the outcome. I mean, even as you became a saxophonist, my guess is you weren't certain where that pathway was going to land you. I mean,
absolutely.
You were in corporate and then you kind of pivoted. Talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I was in corporate for about 4.5 years and did music on the side, performed on weekends and, any times that I could in the other places. And I slowly felt this gravitational pull, and each year it got stronger and stronger. And eventually it got to a point where there was just no way around it. Like, it was calling at me. I guess sometimes people refer to it as your calling is pulling at you. But I really felt that strong presence. And so I knew, okay, I have to move and I have to shift. And what's the best way to go about this? And of course, you're thinking, just like me, I'm in corporate. You have this guaranteed money. You have compensation. You have all of these benefits. And you're going to go from that to zero. Good luck. Go for it.
That must have been terrifying.
It was, and I would say for sure, for me at least, there was definitely a sense of faith. There's strong presence there as well, and for me, there was a bit of a spiritual aspect that was also pulling, and so that kind of helped usher in some of those feelings and some of that comfort into making such a big decision and such a big leap. But it was just all about, creating that new confidence and just knowing, okay, we're going to make this decision. This sounds crazy. This makes no sense, but let's go ahead and break the rules and do the big leap.
Well, and I'm so glad you did, because obviously your music is now being listened to all over the globe, and it's making a huge impact in particularly young people who are thinking, can I take a risk? Can I do something that I love? Oftentimes we hear, you mentioned you were in corporate, that find that thing that you love and make it a job and you'll never work a day in your life, which in some ways is a little bit strange in my mind, because I want people to understand that sometimes working, and I'm sure you feel this, it's hard.
Oh, yes.
It's not always fun. It's not always easy. And yet at the same time, isn't it awesome when you have that, use the term pull, calling, and so forth. When that happens, what an extraordinary opportunity. But it doesn't sound like that's something you just waited to happen. You actually crafted it. You moved forward. You didn't just wait for opportunities. You created opportunities. I do want to talk more about your faith. You mentioned that there was a faith piece there, that you really had a trust and a faith. And I'm guessing that was really inspiring, but also very comforting as you did break the rules.
Absolutely.
Talk honestly with viewers about that.
So I'm a person of faith. I go to church, every week. And for me, what that looks like is knowing that even though you don't know the answers, someone else does. In this case, God does. And you have to really rely on him to navigate, to be your GPS, because you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's to come. Only thing you know of is the experiences that you've had up to that date. And so that was, like you said, it's a little bit frightening, but also, you had the comfort in knowing, okay, he knows the steps. He knows exactly how this is going to work out. And there's just a phrase I always refer to, the big leap. And that's exactly what it was. It was like jumping blindfolded, not knowing where your feet are going to land. You know they're going to land somewhere. You don't know how close or far it'll be before your feet land. And just knowing for sure that it's going to be worth that jump. I'm
going to step out of the conversation I'm having with Mike Williams just for a moment to say I hope you're really enjoying this episode. And would you be willing to share this with a friend or subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can learn more and continue to follow our 3 Words podcast? That said, now back to the conversation. Well, and the big leap is less risky and less scary when you know there is a higher power, a more wise guide that is kind of orchestrating and kind of helping move you forward in the right direction. It's what I'm hearing you say and what you're describing. The culture, if I can speak about culture for a minute, is oftentimes telling us to conform, to do it the way everyone else has done it, or to kind of stick to the status quo, presuming that means safety.
Absolutely.
That means control. I mean, you said something very startling to me, maybe even to our viewers, Mike, and that is that we don't always know what tomorrow holds.
We don't know anything.
Well, you even took it farther. We don't know anything. And it's interesting. We talk a lot about that here in 3 Words Podcast, about our need for control and comfort and convenience. I mean, we really do want to have lives that are buttoned down, where there's security and there's certainty and there's assurance. We just recently did an episode that doubt is okay, that struggle several episodes back is normal, all the things that make us a little bit nervous. And these 3 words, I'm guessing for many, make them nervous as well. But even as we were talking off camera, I said to you, and you were willing to have this conversation with me in front of all of our viewers and listeners, did it ever backfire? Did you ever feel like, wait, I broke the rules and now I'm wondering, should I have?
Absolutely.
Talk to us about that.
Yes. If you look at a timeline, about 2018 is when I made the big leap. And I was so excited. I was super ambitious and hopeful of I'm going to have this incredible music career and I'm going to be in LA and New York and all these incredible places. I'll be all over TV. Well, I didn't think that part, but everything else. And so I was really excited and super hopeful. And I began to learn, okay, this is a little bit harder than I thought. There are a lot of other, elements that I have no control over. I'm entering a genre that they have people who have been performing and playing well before I was even born. So, it's going to take a while to really, the barrier to entry is going to take a while. And then the pandemic hit. And once that happened, I think everyone, no matter what your career was or where you were, we were all like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen next? How do we get around? And for me, that was just a great time to hit the reset button and to refocus and rechannel in and remember why it was that I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And all of those things had nothing to do with it. Going to New York or, just becoming famous or whatever it was, that had nothing to do with just the passion and the enjoyment of performing and playing for people. And so it gave me an opportunity to go back and pursue an MBA, which just gave me a whole new perspective. It was one of the first times that my career was viewed as a professional career, which was something I wasn't used to. You talk to people and they're like, oh, you can make a living playing the sax, or is that really a career? And, people take a few little jabs at you. And it was the first time I was around colleagues and people who heard what I did and they saw it just as an extremely professional career. They viewed it as, you're an entertainer. We must be entertained as humans. And they really saw the value. And I think that just really helped me reset, recharge, and get back to it. And I think the one thing I'm already thinking of to tell all of our viewers everywhere is just remember why it is that you do what you do. If you want to break the rules, remember why you're breaking the rules, and always use that, because you will see some form of resistance. You'll see that things will be challenging at times, but if you remain true to whatever reason that was that you started, you'll enjoy the results that'll come.
And you'll follow through and continue to take leaps of faith, to use your language. You were sharing really about two kinds of people that intersected with your journey. The first, and you hinted to it, you're like, yeah, there were, and you didn't use the term, but I'm going to give those folks a name who took jabs at you.
Oh yeah.
You said they took jabs and a little bit, kind of questioned what you were doing, the skeptics, right?
Yeah.
But then you also, in the master's program, you had people who were celebrating you.
Absolutely.
Who were affirming, encouraging, and saying, you can do this. So I'm guessing one of the lessons, at least that I'm learning from you, Mike, as we sit in the studio, is surround yourself, if you are going to break the rules.
Yes.
Surround yourself with people who are your cheerleaders and who are championing your cause, and not just those who are always rolling their eyes. There's always going to be those. The naysayers Absolutely. Are going to say, oh, why would you do that? That's not a real profession. Or why would you waste your life? And, why would you take that risk? And there's always going to be those who do that. And I'm guessing even now you are surrounding yourself with folks that are encouraging, affirming, and are celebrating you versus those who might be skeptics, toxic, those who are trying to kind of crush your dream.
Oh, absolutely.
Would that be your inner circle now?
It is. And I think one of the other things that really helped, for example, is I was working on a new project, working on a new album. And during that time, it was actually right at the end of my MBA program. And so I was kind of nervous about, okay, I'm going to graduate. Do I want to go back into corporate now that I have a, even higher degree and that's more money and more guarantee? Or do I still keep chasing this music thing? And it was so inspirational to be able to talk to that producer and engineer and sound engineer, because we're at his studio that he's built. He has, employees that work there as well. And he just has an entire, I almost want to call it a miniature enterprise, we can call it, or, whatever words we want to use. But he just is building this legacy. And it was just very inspirational to see someone in music now, because we talked about people that were in business, but now to talk to someone in music who's doing it as well, but just on the recording side of things or engineering side of things versus me as a performer on that side of things. And it just helped me to dissect the industry more, music and entertainment, and to understand all of the moving pieces, how they work, how they all flow together, and then, collaborating and creating, those relationships with people within all levels within, the industry as well.
We cannot go too far into this episode, and we'll wrap up here in a few minutes with some very practical steps for those who might want to consider breaking the rules or even pursuing dreams that might seem unconventional. But I have actually had the privilege, Mike, of listening to you play the saxophone at some major sporting events where you have done the Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem.
Yes.
And as I listened, I thought to myself, what makes this so unique and what makes this so amazing is, and I didn't think of it till even today, knowing we're going to talk about these three words.
Yep.
Even as a saxophonist, what makes you even more successful, and I think this is really a metaphor for life, is that you're willing, even as you play something that would be very traditional or very familiar, to actually break the rules as you do that. Is that true even in music? When you break the rules, whether it's a familiar song or jazz or so forth, It seems like, wow, that is so cool.
That is the nucleus of it all. It is about breaking the rules. It is about not looking at the sheet music, not looking at the chords, and just having fun, challenging it and trying, okay, I want to try this combination of notes, or, hey, this makes no sense. Let's do it.
I love it. This makes no sense. Let's do it. So let's do this even in the studio today.
Okay.
So if you want to grab your saxophone, if you'd be willing, and as you grab your saxophone, I would like you to, since we're talking about the Star Spangled Banner, maybe even just play it in a very traditional sense, and then first round, and maybe then show us what that very familiar tune sounds like when you break the rules.
Okay.
How about now you break the rules a little bit for us, Mike? I love it. That's awesome, my friend. So thank you for doing that, and let's continue our conversation. Well, that was a ton of fun. And I think you actually showed us and illustrated, first of all, your incredible talent. But then also, secondly, what is the difference between that which is familiar and safe and, quite honestly, comforting, to what is a little bit edgy and provocative and new and fresh and amazing. So, both were incredibly beautiful, and yet the one, as you broke the rules for us and demonstrated that for us, it just took on a new energy and life of its own, which I'm guessing even in our lives, Mike Williams, when we're willing to not be afraid, when we're willing to actually take a risk, when we're willing to pursue our passion, surround ourselves with the right people, we can have an amazing, extraordinary life. So you've obviously taken a journey that many people would really envy and would really respect, and maybe would even want to learn from you in that, not just in the music industry, but just as a young man who said, I'm going to leave corporate, take a leap of faith and do something a little bit different. What would be some words of advice as you think practically, or even as you envision, how is this, what your story and your experiences, how is that transferable to those, the tens of thousands of people who will be listening and viewing this particular episode of the next couple of years?
Absolutely. I would say, first of all, and this might be a shock, it's not for everybody. No, everyone should not go and break the rules. But if you feel that inside of you, if you've been feeling it, if you've been having a gravitational pull for years and you feel it's time it's for you. If it's for you. And I think that's one of the most important messages. Remember why you're doing what you're doing. So if that, means, hey, I want to create a more fun place at work. I think this would be fun if we had, this party, or if we had something for the employees, or maybe something to give back to the community. Go for it. Absolutely chase those dreams, make those things happen, and remember why you're doing it. Mm-hmm. You can just throw a party any day, but why are we throwing this party? And, just remembering the nucleus of why you're feeling that gravitational pull.
Great advice. Great advice. Other thoughts that you think about when you think about, hey, first steps? I guess the reason I ask, and as you think about that, you maintain your corporate job for a season. Absolutely. While developing and cultivating this kind of side gig. Absolutely. And then you went full time with that. So it's not like you just quit your job and then said, now what am I going to do with that? How am I going to break the rules? But you actually had a plan, and you were building that plan simultaneously to working in corporate. Absolutely. I think it's very invaluable, but you have to, make a vision, write it plain, write it down. What is it that you want to do? What are some of the goals that you have? Some of the tangible goals. I think that's important too. Sometimes we forget about those. And then also, just remembering why you do what you do. Creating a network of people that are supportive. So utilizing that. I think doing your research is important too. That's a step that a lot of people forget about. Know, what are some of the pros? What are some of the cons? Maybe it looks like a SWOT analysis for you. There's just so many different approaches that you can take, but do something is very important. Do something, anything, make one step, whether it's a baby step, whether it's a crawl, even if you're rolling on the ground, as long as you're moving forward at some point. And I think, not being fearful, being excited about what you do. Again, remembering why you do what you do, and most importantly, having fun. You have to have fun. Listen, I'm going to mess up everything right here. You have to have a good time. Yep. That has always been one of the most important things for me. If we mess up, that's fine. Did we do it with a smile on our face? Did we have a great time? And a lot of times you can laugh at those moments, years down the road. And it just makes the progress and that eventual success that much better. I love your positive vibe. I love your forward-thinking, upbeat perspective. I mean, from the moment you walked in the studio, we were just laughing. That laugh of yours, Mike, I hear it all the time. That laugh of yours is contagious, but it doesn't just something that you just kind of slap on. It comes deep within your spirit. It flows out of your soul because you are a person who believes. You are a person who dreams. You're an individual who is extremely charismatic and just so excited about life. And I hope that our conversation is an inspiration to those who might feel like they're stuck, who might feel like they just have to stay in their comfort zone instead of stepping outside of themselves and breaking the rules. So I appreciate you spending this time with us today. And it was so great. I don't want to, I don't even know if you want to come back, but I think we could have future conversations about laughter, about who knows what. But again, just great having you in the studio today, Mike Williams. I'm glad we met 10 years ago. Yes, it is something else. So thank you again, Dr. Michael Brown. Thank you, 3 Words Podcast. What an incredible experience. And for those listening, again, just do it. Make it happen. Have some fun. Get your hands dirty. And we'll laugh about it as well, but break the rules. Awesome. Until next time, my friend. Till next time. Well, that was a fascinating conversation, was it not? I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Mike Williams. If you would like to learn more about DMB coaching, receive some free resources, and continue an ongoing conversation with me and my team, would you do me a favor and subscribe to our newsletter, our monthly digital newsletter at dmbcoaching.com/subscribe. Again, that's DMB for Dr. Michael Brown, coaching, dmbcoaching.com/subscribe. And then we will stay in touch with you month after month for years to come. We'll see you at the next episode.